Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you some useful tips on how to save your Android smartphone's battery. Now in this video, for an example, I'm going to be using the Samsung Galaxy Young, which is running Android Gingerbread. Now as you may know, today's Android phones have rich displays with many colors and so on, with rich features, and all of that is consuming a lot of battery life, and many people have reported that they have issues saving their battery's life, keeping the phone longer on without charging. So in this video we're gonna have a look at a few tips on how to save the battery. So tip number one is pretty obvious. To reduce the screen brightness, simply go to your menu, the settings, and go to display. This is where usually the settings should be, and then go to brightness. The lower the better. This is actually quite nice to set it somewhere at this level. Not exactly the darkest, but somewhere here, instead of this, for instance. So somewhere at this level should be quite fine to use it. So tip number two would be to disable Wi-Fi if it is not in use, because when you go outside and you go through the streets, there are a lot of Wi-Fi hotspots. Your phone keeps on scanning, tries to connect to some, then disconnects, and so on and on. This obviously consumes some power by doing these actions, so it is best, if you're not going to use it, to just simply disable it. So simply go to settings, Wi-Fi, and stop it if you're not going to use it. Tip number three would be to stay away from live wallpapers. Obviously it's cool to have moving things around our screen, but they consume power, so I would highly advise, if you want to save on battery, to just stay with a plain and simple image as a background. Tip number four is to use a limited amount of widgets. Now, using a lot of widgets consumes a lot of memory, which consumes battery. So if you have useless widgets around your pages on your home screen, you can just delete them and keep the ones which you mostly need. For instance, I need my Google search widget here, I need my Clock widget, as well as Gmail, Maps, Play Store. This is just for quick access, so keep the most needed widgets, but remove the unnecessary widgets. All they do is just consume battery. Tip number five would be to switch from 3G networks to 2G networks. You can do that by going to your settings, and wherever your mobile data settings are, you can simply go there, and you should see an option, use only 2G networks. That might depend actually on your device and on your Android version. Hopefully you can find it, but here it is. It even says saves battery in here in the description, as you can see. So you can just enable it, and you switch from 3G to 2G. So tip number six would be to turn off GPS. Obviously if you don't need it, and if you feel that you won't lose your phone. If you need it, you can just keep it on if you are going to be using apps to track your phone's location. If you don't, you can simply go to settings and go to location and security, or it could be named differently, again depending on your Android device and your Android version. So this is where it is on the Galaxy Y, at least here. You can simply go there and disable all of these location and security options. Also, if you happen to have GPS on, there should be a shortcut somewhere on your notification screen to turn it on and off. Currently, as you can see, I have it off. So yeah, that is how we turn it off. So tip number seven would be to disable the auto sync. Now this is if you're not interested in being up to date with the emails you receive and stuff such as that. You can simply go to settings, go to accounts and sync, and in here you can just disable the auto sync, and you won't get any updates. Your phone will not be scanning for new updates such as emails and so on and on. So yeah, that's how you disable it. My next tip is to turn Bluetooth off if you're not going to be using it. Now I've noticed a lot of people have their Bluetooth on even though they're not using their cell phones. They usually just leave them in their pockets and they leave the Bluetooth on. That's just useless. Even your device could actually be trying to scan while it is in your pocket, and so on and on, so it's quite useless to keep it on. Simply go to settings, Bluetooth, and turn it off. And my last tip would be to keep an eye on your battery use. To do that, simply go to your app drawer, then go to settings. Now again, this may depend on your Android device and Android version, but here it is in settings, applications, and you should see here battery use. Simply go there and you can see which part is mostly using your battery. So as you can see here, first is cell standby, then phone idle, then display. As you can see, this is using 25% of the battery. If you feel that's too much, you can lower the screen brightness, as I said in the first tip. And lastly, I have Wi-Fi. You can also turn that off if you're not going to use it, as I mentioned again in a previous tip. So these are a few useful tips to keep in mind if you're planning on saving on battery. Simply follow these tips and you should save some energy on your Android device.